Good morning. We are Signals Sports Investment Gaming Network and Live Signals. This is how you can reach us on our email, and this is our Twitter account as well. Please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Before you do anything else, if you're watching this video after the fact, subscribe to this channel and turn your notifications on so that you can know when we are doing our next live stream. We're trying to help everyone make use of our proprietary algorithm to earn money in-game during international basketball games. It's a very easy process. We walk you through all of the trades, and hopefully we can show you a quick demo today of a live trade and how easy it is to make money with our service. This is our disclaimer. I just want to show you the disclaimer. Please pause the stream to read the disclaimer if you're a first-time viewer. I'll read the last paragraph of the disclaimer. We are neither licensed nor authorized to provide any investing, trading, wagering, and/or betting advice whatsoever. All of the information contained within this broadcast is provided for entertainment purposes only. By subscribing to any of our alerts, notices, and/or signals, you confirm that you understand that it is possible to lose some or all of your money when investing in any sports markets, and you further acknowledge that you cannot hold Signals liable or responsible for any such losses. Going to pull up our trading platform here. This is a Bet365 trading platform. It's set up for live in play, and we're looking at basketball games. And I've got a computer next to this one, which is not shared. It runs the proprietary algorithm along with all the games that are live right now. It doesn't interface with live betting, so I'd have to go back and forth between pages on one computer or use computers side by side in order to make it work. And we need to be as quick as possible to act on these trade opportunities. So we need to have simultaneous computers operating side by side. So the one that I share with you is the one that we'll use to identify the bet or trade that we're going to take. I also don't place live bets on the screen that you're seeing. Our corporate account bets are placed by me, but they're placed utilizing a mobile device because the mobile device is much quicker than the computer will be, and so that's why we do that as well. On top of that, we are looking for first half or Q3 over-under opportunities. So that's what we'll be looking for. And we grade or the algorithm, I should say, grades the quality of the trade. So they will be broken down into three categories. They'll either be a half unit play, so half of what you normally place, 3/4 of a unit play, or one full unit. So for example, if you're betting $1,000 per game, one full unit would be that $1,000, whereas a half unit, you'd only be betting $500 on that particular bet. Here are the games that are going on live right now, and I'm going to start looking at the computer beside me and my phone, and I'm going to start scanning, looking for potential opportunities where the algorithm may be about to generate a signal. We want to be on top of it and focused on the most likely opportunity for a signal so that we can be ready to act. So when there's silence in the video, it's just me doing some internal scanning so as to prepare all of us to take that opportunity. So I'm just scanning through some of the games right now, and if I see anything that comes up that's coming up relatively soon, that fits the parameters of the algorithm, we'll call it up, we'll examine it, and we'll take a look at it prior to any signal being generated so that we can be prepared. Okay. First game that comes up, it's not that may come up. It's not a. It's this one here, Czech Republic League One. So let's call that one up. Let's go match live. Let's turn off sound effects on this thing. So we're looking at the Q3 over/under number, and time has just started to move again. So this would be strictly a half unit play if we do get a signal. Nothing yet. So it doesn't look like this one's going to be yielding a signal for us in time. We're down to 2 minutes and 42 seconds. The bets go away at exactly the 2-minute mark, and this one here is not looking like it's going to disclose a signal. So I've got my eye on this one, but I'm also scanning to see if there are other opportunities, because I don't think this is likely going to be the one for us. This game is going away quickly. So we'll go back to our main screen. This is not the event for us. If you've watched our streams before, you'll see that the algorithm helps us with the two main tenets of trading. The first being discipline, and the second being execution. We need to be 100% disciplined in what we do. We don't chase. We don't add on to positions. We do exactly as the algorithm says. We place trades based on signals. We place the amount that we wager is determined by the strength of that particular signal, which I've already previously discussed, and that's the discipline factor. The execution factor is our own personal ability, our own individual ability to place that trade quickly, to get in the trade, and to do so right away without missing an opportunity. These trades last anywhere from 3 to 10 seconds. Any signal that's generated, you'll have a distinct advantage over your sports book, but it's going to be extremely time sensitive, and you'll have anywhere from 3 to 10 seconds in order to take advantage of that particular trade. So hopefully we get one of those opportunities today, and we're able to, in this short video, and we're able to demonstrate the power of our algorithm. And if you watched yesterday's video, or if you were on yesterday's live stream, you'll note that the first play we had was a half unit play, and it was pointed out that it was a half unit play for a couple of reasons: why it was a flawed bet, and why there was going to be a slight flaw in the execution due to the unusual circumstances of the game at that time. Just want to reiterate that risk and money management is key in everything we do, because while we have an edge over the sportsbook, that edge can disappear at any time if the circumstances that are being monitored in the game change drastically. They can change drastically, in your favor and help you win the bet, but they can also change against you and make a bet that seemed a foregone conclusion or almost a formality to all of a sudden not not win for you. So risk and money management are your own personal responsibilities, individual responsibilities, and it is key to everything you do. Your trading psychology will improve dramatically if you're able to maintain discipline over your risk and money management. Just wanted to point that out because yesterday's first bet was a half unit, didn't end up winning. It was close, didn't end up winning. The second bet, however, was a full unit play, and it was an easy textbook algorithm play, and it was an easy win. I just want to reiterate that for those of you with small accounts who are doing this recreationally and who hope to one day turn it into a business, you've got to treat your money as though it's a business, not like it's a hobby. If you treat it like a hobby, it'll cost you like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, it'll reward you like it's a business. And so for those of you with tiny accounts, you can't wager everything on the very first signal on the assumption that it's a win. You need to be around for the subsequent signals because you want to take advantage of every opportunity, and you want to mitigate mitigate your losses and keep your losses at a minimum so that you can profit when subsequent signals come up that are even more likely to win. Just scrolling through the games again right now. A couple of games coming up that we're going to have an interest in shortly. There's an expression, common expression, that says that money won feels so much better than money earned. We want to let everyone know that the money that's being made here is being earned through a lot of painstaking hard work that we put into the front end of this process, and we are very, very happy to have this opportunity to show you how the algorithm works and give you the opportunity to feel what it's like to have money won, which is really the opportunity that you have based on the work that's gone into this algorithm and the signals that it generates. So we're happy to earn money that you consider money that you're winning. I never check what games are on at the time I'm about to do a live stream. It doesn't really matter. The basketball games are played. One of the reasons why we developed this algorithm for basketball specifically was because the basketball games are played literally 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Regardless of what time you're around, you can go to your live trading platform or betting platform, and you'll find an international basketball game that's available. It's just a fact. So a few games at halftime right now. So Q3 will be getting underway. And there are a few games in Q2, but not far enough along in Q2 for us to have any real interest in them at this moment. So it's going to take a few more minutes before we have anything to pull back up on screen and take a look at. briefly, I can again reiterate why we do first half and Q3 betting live in game. Q1, the algorithm doesn't have enough data with which to generate a signal with enough strength and enough reliability to consider wagering on. And Q4, almost every sports book alters their over-under lines for Q4 depending on the score at the time, depending on the pace of play, depending on a whole bunch of other factors, and the static manner in which they set lines for over-unders in Qs 2 and 3 differ dramatically in Q4, and so again, the algorithm doesn't necessarily have an edge that is reliable enough to act upon. But Q2 and Q3 numbers are extremely stable in terms of the lines that are established by the sports books, and so our algorithm works best with both those timeframes. So really, the closest game to anything happening at the moment here is this Real Madrid game versus Barcelona. There isn't anything worth considering at the moment, but that's really the only game we've got going in terms of the time factor that's looking like it might present an opportunity for us. There's an Israel Super League game on as well between Tel Aviv and Maccabi Rishon, which the time frame is right, but the internal numbers that the algorithm utilizes to compute, they indicate that there isn't really anything that's going to come from that particular game at this point. Doesn't mean it won't later on, but at this point, doesn't seem like there's anything there. Couple of Italian games that we're watching, but nothing obvious either. Just looking at a couple other games while we're still got this Madrid game up on the board. Again, the way we make free money is through discipline and execution. Discipline requires an incredible amount of patience and focus and an ability to wait for the opportunity to come to you based on the inefficiencies of your particular sportsbook. If you're trying to create an opportunity, or if you're looking for an opportunity, it's very easy to psychologically convince yourself that there is an opportunity, but what you're really doing is you're trying to create an opportunity because you've got that itchy trigger finger. You can't successfully last long in this business doing that. You can get away with it a few times and you can fix a few mistakes, but long term, well, there won't be long term. There won't be much long term if that's what you're interested in. So It's free money, but it takes discipline and execution. And right now, we are clearly in the discipline phase because we're having to wait on opportunities to be disclosed. And at the moment, we don't have any. Try to keep these videos to about 45 minutes max, exactly for that reason, because our ability to maintain our discipline and our focus is reduced as time goes on. Yeah, the Madrid game isn't quite where we need it to be in order to generate a signal, and time is lapsing quickly. So that's not likely going to be the game for us. Not sure why the computer did what it just did, but it's reloading this game. And again, the time is ticking. We're close to a signal, but it may not come in time. We'll see. Still monitoring it as it's our closest opportunity to having a signal, but at this point, it still appears like it's not going to generate a signal here in this at the end of this first half. Again, it's not whether or not you believe that the total is going to go over or under. That has literally no bearing on what we do. It's whether or not the algorithm identifies a statistical edge over the sportsbook. That's the key. Okay, so now we can say that we've generated a signal on this particular game. It is over, and it's over 70.5. Over 70.5 is the signal. So we're looking for 70.5, and the strength of that signal is a 3/4 unit play. So whatever you'd ordinarily bet on a game times 0.75. So if you're betting 1,000, it's 750. If you're betting 100, it's 75, and so on. We're looking for 70.5. 70.5. 3/4 of a unit. It's a pretty strong signal if we can get it. Obviously, where the sportsbook isn't giving us anywhere near that at the moment, but that can change pretty quickly. So stay on it. Be prepared to act. We while there's a timeout, I can talk about why we don't use the computer to place the bet. If I were to enter, for example, $1,000, whatever. Sorry, I'm irrespective of what I enter. To place a bet, if you're placing your bet, this is with Bet365's platform. Every platform is different, but for example, with Bet365, if you're placing your bet, anyway, okay, the game's going back on. I'll talk about this later. Let's see if we can get down to 70.5. The point that I'm making is if this goes down to 72.5, you'll see that I will have 72.5, I have to accept changes, and then the screen comes back up, and then I have to place bet. That is way too cumbersome and too time consuming. We'll miss the bet. If that happens, we're gonna miss the bet. So we can't have that happen. So what we found is that if you utilize your mobile device for efficiency purposes, Bet365 gives you one click for the accept changes and place bet, so you don't have to go through two cumbersome screens, which allows you to succeed in placing your bet a lot quicker. We were just there. We were literally just there. I don't know if everybody saw that. We were down to 71.5. A couple more seconds without scoring, it would have gone to 70.5. Instead, it went to 73. Yeah, this one's unfortunately this one didn't happen for us. Bets are all about to disappear, so let's just pull this one away. Let's go back to our screen. I'll go back to the computer looking for games. This happens. It happens all the time, and it's a good thing because you don't want to chase. You don't want to get in a bad trade just because you're itching for some action. Patience. Let's just exercise patience. We'll find ourselves something that'll be well worth the wait. Doesn't mean it'll be a winner, of course. Can't guarantee that, but I can guarantee that you will have an edge. And if you have an edge, it often translates into a win as well. So that's what we're trying to do: get you away from placing wagers that are based on historical data for handicapping, based on hunches, based on tips, based on gut feelings, all of which are wonderful skills that certain people possess, and a lot of people do very well doing that. But the amateur, the typical amateur, doesn't really understand why. And so what we've tried to do is create a system where you have a statistical probability of being more likely than not correct in the bet that you place. A lot of games in Q3 now, so we're just looking at some of these games. One of the interesting ones is this Poland First Division game with Slask versus Biofarm. It's going to come up right now. So we'd be looking at a Q3 number. There isn't anything yet, but we're just looking at that one because that one's a lot of time left in Q3 to possibly yield a signal. Again, we have all the way down on Bet365. We have all the way down to 2 minutes to place a bet. If your sportsbook doesn't allow betting past the 4-minute mark or the 3-minute mark, we would suggest to you that you're going to miss out on a few of our trades because we do take some of our trades after. Or what I'm trying to say is with less than 3 minutes to play in the quarter. So something to consider as well in terms of deciding on a sportsbook. All right, I've got a better game here that's coming up on the algorithm for a potential signal. So let's discuss it. It's this one right here. So looking at Q3. This would be a full unit play, 1.00 units, so full unit. So if you're betting 100, for example, this would be the $100 bet. Not sure we're going to get a signal. The total, so it would be an over bet. The over is very high in relation to points scored. So there isn't anything at all at the moment to do, but let's watch this one. Unless the scoring picks up dramatically, the sports book is going to have to revise their line lower, significantly lower, before they're going to get any action on this particular bet. So the first signal that is generated for this game should be coming up shortly. It won't come with a stoppage in play. We'll have to have play resume. The only thing I'm not particularly thrilled about with this game is, if you look at the score, is somewhat lopsided. And so there's always the fear that the team with the big lead may choose to hold the ball as long as it can for its last one, two, possibly even three possessions towards the end of the quarter, which could skew the scoring dramatically. So that's the only thing I'm not too excited about. So 45, the first signal has been generated. This is a 1 unit play, and it is over 45. Over 45.5. When I say 45, it always implies the 0.5. Over 45.5. Sportsbook has this priced way too high. So we're not interested in chasing this one at all. There isn't going to be a bet here. See if we get a revised number before we go. But we're gonna stick with this one for a little bit, but we'll see. Once the clock starts moving again, we'll see if we get another signal. So the revised signal is 47 and a half. It's 47 and a half. The clock ticked down for a couple of seconds. It looks like there may be 47 and a half is the number. That's not likely to be achievable here. 47 and a half is what we're looking for. You'd have to have no scoring until about the 2:15 mark for this to happen. We're down to 49, so pay attention, be ready to act. 47 and a half. Another foul, so that's going to move the number way up again. It's just not going to happen for this game. We've got 26 seconds before this game goes away. We're looking at 47 and a half on a full unit play here. Still an outside chance that this will come off, but that's all it is an outside chance. Okay, there goes the clock. 48 and a half. We can do 48 and a half on this game. And they scored again. So that's it. Okay, this one's gone. what's happening there is that we need a lull of a few seconds before, with no scoring, no foul to occur, so that we can get our trade, and take advantage of the sportsbook's inefficiency to readjust its line accordingly, and then we jump on the play. When there are plenty of stoppages, numerous fouls, what happens is the sportsbook has plenty of opportunity to revise its line, and so avoid creating an inefficient market. And so our algorithm is designed to take advantage of those inefficiencies, and when they're not there, we are out of the market. So let's take a look at an Israeli league game. Let's look at this one here. Score's a little closer, which is a little more appealing. Nothing yet, but we're looking at generating a signal for the over on the third quarter. See if we can get that. See if we can generate an early number here. Leads at 13 points, though. Ideally, we're looking for a game that's where the score is within two or three possessions either way of being tied. Tied doesn't necessarily help us, because that can also affect pace of play, because if it's too close, it could be an indication, and the algorithm picks up on this, an indication that pace of play is slower because of defensive play. We like games that are 2 or 3 possessions away from being tied, because the team that is behind generally wants to catch up as quickly as they can. The team that's ahead wants to put their foot down and really establish themselves with a solid lead, so they can go on and coast to victory. If you know international basketball, it's incredible the different things that you can see happen. So all of these factors go into the calculations for picking a line. For example, this particular game has gone from 35.5 to 31.5. 31.5 looked great as a number about a minute and a half ago. Doesn't look so good now, since we got to that number with not a single point being scored. So this game's looking like a bit of an anomaly, because we're halfway. Well, we're at the 6-minute mark. We're 40% through the quarter, and you've got only 6 points scored. If you were just to do the math on this, it's 1.5 a minute. So you're looking at a 15-point quarter, which obviously makes no sense. But by the same token, you look at Q2, where they had 47 total points scored. At this point, it certainly looks like that's not remotely achievable. And so once the sportsbook takes away all the betting like it does, it's because of that anomaly, and there isn't anything going on, and it makes it difficult for their own algorithms to establish a line that they're comfortable with. game's got good potential, though. If we can just get back, if we can establish some sort of a scoring pattern. A lot of time left. So let's stay with this one, see if we can get a signal. So as I said, 31 and a half a couple of minutes ago. Look, if you're just observing and you're just going on your impressions and your hunches based on your own personal experience of having watched games, you'd have thought that, hey, they're going to get there easy. They may, but at this point, having only scored 9 in the first half of the quarter doesn't look that way. Let's see where we go with this. Okay, so we have our first number on this game, and this number is over 26 and a half, and it is it's a 3/4 unit play, 3/4 of a unit play. See if we revise that. Still 26 and a half, 26 and a half, over 26 and a half on a 3/4 unit play. Patience. I know the line looks really far from that. Looks like it's never going to get there. We may revise. We may revise upwards. We may not. Still 26 and a half. No point chasing this game. Still looking at 26 and a half. We're close to revising the total here. It'll be an upward revision. Obviously, it'll be up substantially. We're just waiting to see if we get the go ahead here. While we've got this timeout, I'm scrolling and looking for other opportunities. Perhaps there's something better. We've been on this one for a while, and it hasn't given us much of anything. So 3/4 unit play here, and we're looking to revise upwards. Okay, 29 and a half. Over 29 and a half is the new number. The new total is over 29.5. Looks like we might get there on this one. Also looks like they're not doing much scoring. Not sure we want to get there on this one. $29.5 is the number. 29.5. We haven't seen that yet in this game. The lowest we've seen is 31.5. That came up a few times, but at that time there was no signal to act upon. We're still looking at 29, nothing more than that. Obviously a big gap between the book's line and our line, so we'll see what happens. We're still adjusting here. $30.5. 30.5, over 30.5. And some crazy totals being put up by the sports book here. Not realistic. Not realistic at all. My preference here is to move on and look for another opportunity. This one here, we've expended a lot of time, effort, and energy on it, and it's not lining up. So 33.5, over 33.5 now is a reasonable bet. 33.5. This is no longer a 3/4 unit play, though. This is a half unit play at 33.5. This is now only a half unit play. See if the time starts moving again, if the number moves up a bit, but this is now only a half a unit play. $34.5, half a unit play, 34.5. See if we can get it. No, sportsbook's not moving. Not moving. You can see all the time that has elapsed, and it barely moved the line. So this is not a bet. We're not chasing this bet. Let's just get off this game right now. Focus our attentions elsewhere. Conscious of the time ticking on us. Stream's gone getting close to an hour, and we don't have any trades. I mean, it happens. Not often, but it does happen. May end up going back to revisiting our Real Madrid game in the third quarter here. Seems like potentially our best option. Let's pull up another Israeli League game. Let's pull up Tel Aviv versus Lezion. This one here. Q3 play we're looking for here. Over. Like this play. It's it also has some potential. And Bet365 does its it reloads its screen every now and then. I don't know why it does that, but in any event, the screen's back up. 40.5 is what the number was at when we first joined this game. That's where it sits currently. That's not the signal. Like the score, obviously. 2-possession game. That's evidenced by the fact that pace of play in the third quarter is a little bit more up tempo. Certainly, it's outpacing Q1, and it's not quite Q2 pace, but it is getting there. So the nature of this signal would be a this would be at the moment this would be a 3/4 unit play if we get a signal. $35.5, 3/4 unit play over 35.5. We're down to 38. We were getting there. Now it's back up to 40. Unfortunate. $35.5 is what we're looking at. 35.5. 3/4 unit play, 35.5. 35.5, 3/4 unit play. We're at 39.5, so it can move there quickly, and there's plenty of time left in this third quarter to make that happen. 35.5 is what the number is. Let's see if we can find that. Three-quarter unit play, 35.5. Let's go get this one. We've been waiting long enough. $35.5 if we can get it. Gonna have to be quick on this one if the signal does come up, because there's going to be more time left. That signal will that number will change quite quickly. Sportsbook won't leave it up there for long. 35.5 is what we're looking for. and they keep scoring. Now they're scoring again. They scored very early in the quarter, then there was a lull, and now they're starting to score again. Looking at the algorithm, looking at our signal, we still can't go higher than 35.5 at the moment. Thirty-five and a half is where we're trying to get. All right, again, we start the march towards 30, and then they scored again. Okay, let me see if we can get another number, another revision here. Thirty-seven and a half, over 37 and a half, over 37 and a half, over 37 and a half if we can get it. We're very close. 37 and a half. Foul is going to take that away. We're just not having that sweet spot in terms of the timing. 37 and a half. Let's go get 37 and a half. With both those free throws made and no time elapsing, we may get a revision. $37 and a half is the number. No need to chase. Here we go. We're at 38 and a half. Let's get ready for 37 and a half. Let's take it. 37 and a half as soon as it comes up. So we're briefly suspended, then it went back up to 39 and a half. We were that close to getting 37 and a half. Still, we're going to be close, so it's going to take it. We've got plenty of time. Plenty of time. We're going to need a little bit of luck. Three-quarter unit play. 37 and a half. Here it comes. Let's get this. So 37 and a half displayed as 1.71 odds. I'm trying to take it right now. I've already selected it. And I'm in at 37 and a half. There it is. It's available for everyone, and now it's suspended. 37 and a half. Let's see if we can hit this one. 37 and a half. Took a long time in coming. And according to and this is a three-quarter unit play at 37 and a half. According to the algorithm, at the moment that line came into play, we still had a slight edge over the sportsbook. So we'll see how it plays out. Now that we're in, there's nothing more to do but watch and hope for a ton of points to get scored. It's taken us a long time to get this play today. Our patience and discipline, 37 and a half. 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 37 and a hal should be rewarded. Hopefully that's exactly what happens. Not happening at the moment. We can see now that the line has actually gone below the 37.5. So the edge that we had clearly is not an edge at the moment. The pace of play changed dramatically, and we did not get our follow through on the scoring. In fact, they haven't scored at all in the last 40 seconds. So it's going to take some work. It's going to take some work. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but definitely not that follow through in those first couple seconds of our line that would have given us the edge that we needed just to carry it through. We're still okay though. There's still plenty of time here, plenty of time, and with the tie game, of course, we've got a situation where pace of play could potentially slow down if they choose not to run up the score and rather play defense. That's unfortunate. Obviously preferred, like I say, a 2 or 3 possession game, but this could still work for us. Three-quarters of a unit on this one. A couple of quick baskets could make this really interesting for us. While we're in this, I guess now's the time to basically talk about what our algorithm has produced historically in the 3-year development that we put it through. Basically, there are going to be 10 to 50. Let's talk about 100 game sample. Basically, there are going to be 10 to 15 of those games where you can't lose. It's a lock. Equally so, there are going to be 5 or so games where the edge that you had disappeared so quickly that you have no chance of winning that game. So that takes care of about 20 games. The other 80 are right in that sweet spot where the algorithm discloses a signal. You've got a tremendous chance that every one of those 80 games are going to fall within a half a point or a point and a half on either side of the number that the algorithm generates. And what we have found is that in those 80 games, the algorithm hits at a very high probability of success, which is why relative to professional sports betting, not talking about a ridiculous number like 80% or 75% like people throw around on various social media sites. We're talking about a 57, 58% rate, and you factor that in with the 5% that are outright losses and the 10 to 15 that are outright wins, and you get a healthy percentage of wins. This one won't be it. This is I will be early to call this one and say this is not a winner. This is just crazy how they just never scored again once we got into our line. 37.5, as you can see, was our number. After we took it, it briefly went up to 39.5 when it looked like there was some potential for some scoring. But before that, it had gone down to 36.5 even. Uh, there's very little hope for this one. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. There simply just isn't enough time on the clock or enough possessions left to make this happen. This is one of those that falls into the category of the 5% where it's not even close. This one's ridiculous. And obviously, the one team is holding for the last shot. There goes any chance of additional points. So this one is, well, we haven't been streaming for very long, but since we have been streaming, this is easily the worst signal we've had. And of course, they hit a 3 at the buzzer. I mean, obviously the scoring potential was there, but it didn't happen, and we didn't even come close. So it's unfortunate. We spent well over an hour now, and we're 0 for 1 on the 3/4 unit play. We'll look quickly, see if there's anything else that comes up. If not, we're going to call it a day here with a 3/4 unit loss. Nothing too exciting going on. Let's remove this. There is one more game that we can take a look at before we go, and it's Maccabi Tel Aviv. This is also a 3/4 unit play, and this is a first half bet. Over 76.5 is the line offered. It's nowhere near the number that we would want to get in at, though. But let's keep looking at this one. This is our last play. If we get one to come off here, we'll do it. As I said, at the moment, it would be a 3/4 unit play. That could change. It could be revised upwards or downwards depending on what's going on with the game at the time the signal is generated. If a signal is generated. $72.5, over 72.5 on this one. Over 72.5. Also a 3/4 unit play, 72.5, over 72.5. Over 72.5. 72 and a half. Looking at 72 and a half. Wow, that's crazy. That number changed a lot, and we were right there. 72 and a half. We were right there. It looked like it was coming right to it, and then big jump upwards in the overline by the sportsbook. We're at 74 and a half. It was about to hit 73 and a half, and just as the number changed from 74 and a half, and you assumed 73 and a half, it did 77 and a half. Still looking at 72 and a half here. Let's see what happens. Still just a 3/4 unit play. And let's not chase just because we're down to 3/4 of a unit today. We can easily make that up tomorrow. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Pace of play in this second quarter has picked up, obviously, dramatically from the first quarter. That's good. Gives us an indication that they may play out the half trying to score. 3-possession game, also good. So 73 and a half, over 73 and a half is the revised total. That's revised upwards to 73 and a half, over 73 and a half, no more than that. 73 and a half. Going to be difficult. Doesn't look like this one's going to happen. 73 and a half is our number. It has not been revised upwards. Oh, there it goes now. 74 and a half. 74 and a half is the number. 74 and a half. Wow. And then they score big again. Let's watch for a revised signal upwards. We're down to 322. This one's going to be tight to get in. Still looking at 3/4 of a unit, no better. $75 and a half, 75 and a half, 75 and a half is the revised number from the algorithm. I don't remember if that's up or down. 75 and a half. $77 and a half is the number. 77 and a half is the number. 77 and a half. Yeah, and it just keeps going up. So we're gonna sit on 77 and a half, I believe. I don't think we're getting another signal, and we're down to 36 seconds of stop time here before the bet disappears. Don't think we're going to get a chance at 6. That's 77 and a half. No, line just keeps going higher. We're not chasing. This is not our game. So we're at 3/4 of a loss on the day, and unless I spot anything in the next few seconds that gives us some hope for something, some other action, we're gonna let it go. Would like to give us an opportunity to come back to even today and not carry it over, but it just doesn't seem like there's an opportunity. We'll leave this. We'll keep going with the stream for a few more minutes. There's one. There's a couple of women's games that are going on that have some potential. Both of these right here are in, one's about to begin Q3. The other is in Q3. Problem with this one, of course, is that it's got a lopsided score, and anytime you've got a lopsided score, you've got to account for that, which the algorithm does. So there's that one. And then the other one that's actually interesting, just based on what transpired in the first half, is the other game is this one right here. This one actually, the score is great. Overall total is good. They're scoring points. The spread is good because the spread is exactly where it's at now. So it's not like it's unexpected that this is the score. This is exactly in line with where it should be. I mean, there's some potential there, so we may watch this one for a little bit versus the other one where it's a lopsided score, and even that is not all that representative of where the game is going. The line is even greater than the score with this kind of a lopsided lead, so it's going to continue in that one direction, and you have to wonder at what point does the team that's so far ahead lose incentive to score. It looks like never here. It looks like they just want to run it up, but who can say? But that's it. That's all we got for games. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else. I'm even looking at the NCAA women's games that are in Q3, and there's two of those. The George Mason game and the Wisconsin game, there's nothing going on there. No, nothing, literally nothing happening there. And on the men's side in the NCAA, well, there isn't. Everything's either at the half or about to start. The Tel Aviv game we were looking at, they're at 78 with 3 seconds to go. Our last number we were trying to get was 77 and a half. You'll remember seeing 80 and a half, 81 and a half, I think even 82 and a half the line jumped up to. It may happen. They're at 79 now. It may happen, but clearly 80, 81, and 82 were optimistic numbers. Our algorithm generated 77 and a half, and they finished at 79. So we were close to getting that one to come off. Just a slight delay in a foul or a basket, and we'd have been right there. Screen just went blank again. That wasn't me. That's just Bet365 reloads itself every now and then. What we're looking at is the two women's games. There isn't anything else to look at. So we're looking at this one right here. We're waiting for the other one to restart. The interesting thing about this one is that 93 points scored in the first half. You multiply that by 2, you're at 186. Take a few points off for inefficiencies, you're at 180. Numbers come all the way down to 168. Just a ridiculously flawed game, though. It's the score is brutal. To say the very least, the score is brutal. Not something we want to get into. If we were up 2-3 units on the day, yeah, maybe we'd keep following it and maybe take a shot. But I don't see it. Everything else is in Q4. That doesn't help us. Q4. This one here, as I say, is interesting. It's just we caught it right at halftime, and it could be a while before it gets started. This is our flawed game, which just isn't going to work for us. I'd like to produce one on command, but it doesn't work that way. No, nothing else. Long stream today. I'll put in the comment section that there wasn't anything of really of value to have learned today. We took a bet that was a textbook bet, and it finished statistically in the lowest category of all of our plays, which are the obvious losses the moment you take it, which is exactly where that one went. Very few of those go in there. 5%. 10 to 15% go in the obvious wins. Those are wonderful to get. And the other 80 are the grind. And the algorithm wins more than it loses on the grind. And so when you add those up with the obvious wins, you get it. You get to your success rate that makes this a profitable business. Not today. 0-1 today, 3/4 of a unit. Happens. Nothing you can do. Nothing we can do except reload for tomorrow and try again. Mondays are not the heaviest of schedules, so there won't be that many opportunities. Sundays are typically a lot more games than there were today, and I was around to take a look at the schedule early morning as well. It was fairly light, so it's not that we came on at the wrong time. We were right in that sweet spot. There just weren't that many games today. Definitely no games of any interest. This halftime game is it's just gone on. The halftime has just been going on forever. Hopefully, it's a hell of a halftime show. Even that other flawed score game that I'm looking at. From the score alone, the algorithm grades it as a half unit play if a signal came up. But I'm looking at some of the other factors that are in there, and there's a couple other reasons why it would only be a half unit play even if we did generate a signal. The other thing that I will mention just before we go, because it looks like we will go, every sports book, including Bet365, vary where they set their lines, and they change them. They change them sometimes every day, sometimes every few days. And what they do is they adjust their algorithms to generate lines for the over-unders, for the totals, that either emphasize the unders or emphasize the overs. And until you've had a chance to watch a few and digest a few, it's sometimes not easy to even discern whether they're favoring the over or the under. And to the rank amateur, of course, it's unintelligible. You couldn't possibly unintelligible. You couldn't find that. You couldn't figure that out. The naked eye will never figure that out. But for the algorithm, it knows, and that's also one of the reasons why we likely only had the one signal today, and it didn't even come close. And of course, as mentioned in previous streams, the algorithm is designed to yield the number of signals that historically have generated the most successes, so the better percentage wins. And in doing that, it is also designed to generate almost exclusively over bets. And we've discussed the reasons for that in previous streams as well. All of those factors go into the calculation of the algorithm's numbers and generation of signals. Hey, we finally got that game going, and it's going. So I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay on and see if we can get a signal here. I think since we started our live streams, this will be the first time we're really actively looking at a women's game. Just to for everyone's knowledge, the algorithm doesn't discriminate one way or the other vis-a-vis women's versus men's game. The indicators and the parameters and all the various calculations for the algorithm that the algorithm does is different. But in terms of the preference of generating signals in men's game versus women's game, there's no preference whatsoever. There have been way more men's games that have yielded signals than women's games, but that is not because of a preference for one over the other. Rather, it's been because of the sheer volume of games that have been played while we've had the algorithm running. Two possession game. That's good. So scoring early on, that's good. So I'm going to stick with this one, see where it goes. This one's also looking like a 3/4 unit play. If we were to get a signal, no signal yet, so no indication of the size of play. But it looks to me like it would be a 3/4 unit play. The plus side for this game is obviously the score. Two possession game. The prior scoring pattern, both in Q1 and Q2, above the pace of the line established for Q3. So that's a good thing. Then there's some other internal factors that we look at. $34.5. The very first signal we get in this game on a 3/4 unit play at the 6-minute mark is 34.5, over 34.5. $34.5 is the number we're looking at. 3/4 unit play. This wouldn't get us exactly back to break even because we'd lose commission on this one if we get the win. But it'd be nice to finish off with one more play and hopefully a winner. So 34.5. This is it. This is the last game we're looking at. 34.5 is the signal. So the line is suspended at 36.5 at the moment, suspended. That's probably going to be revised upward. They indicated a foul on the play. They still haven't put up the foul. And they haven't brought back our line. Now the foul is registered. $36.5, over 36.5, big jump in the line, over 36.5. That's oftentimes that's a good thing because it indicates pace of play and scoring pace is improving, increasing, and that's a good thing because if we can find an edge with where we get a low number with a pace of play and scoring pace increasing, it magnifies the edge that we'd have at that moment over the sports book, and if they can keep it up, sometimes just for a minute or so, it'd be enough to put you comfortably in a position where you're most likely to win the game. 36 and a half, 36 and a half. If we can get 36 and a half, over 36 and a half, 3/4 unit play, we're taking this at 36 and a half. 36 and a half, 37 right now. Here's our chance, 36 and a half. Suspended at 37 and a half because of a foul. We were right there at 36 and a half. $36 and a half is our number. We were right there. Very close game. $36 and a half. We're going to need about a 15-second. We're going to need about a 15-second window where there's no scoring to get us to 36 and a half. No scoring, no foul. 38 and a half. Here's 37 and a half. And here's another whistle. Probably a foul. It's not indicated yet, but nope, time's going again. $36 and a half at 183 is what I'm trying to get. There's sort of the line is there right now. 36 and a half. It's right there. It's available for anyone to take. And I'm in at 36 and a half. We're in this one at 36 and a half. Let's see if we can go get this one. 35 and a half is now available. Obviously, we're going to want. They were scoring at a very good pace the first half of the quarter. Not so much in the second half. This is another 3/4 unit play. So we're either going to be near break even or down a unit and a half today. We'll see what happens. I'm going to just watch this play out, and this is the last play of the game. Again, we are Signals, and you know our Twitter account. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and to turn your notifications on so you know whenever we're doing a live stream. Give you an opportunity to cash in on the bets that our algorithm generates. We look forward to providing this service. We think we have an algorithm that can be of benefit to everyone, and we hope that we're able to demonstrate that over our live plays. Today, so far, we have not been able to do so. We had an advantage, and that quickly turned away on us. But let's see if we can get this one to come in. It's this one here is not looking particularly healthy either. So it could be just an off day where you get that edge and the pace of play is unable to maintain it. It happens. It happens. And again, the sports books do revise their lines either upward or downward, if not daily, every few days, in terms of whether they favor the over bias or the under bias, and that factors into the success rate of the algorithm as well, because we are geared towards the over. And it's not looking too healthy right now. We went from a great pace of scoring in the first half of the quarter, which was in keeping with scoring pace that we had seen in the first half of the game, and it has dropped off quite significantly here in the third quarter. So I would venture to say that this is not going to be it's not going to be a good result for us here. We get those days, though. You get a day where you get, depending on how long you stream, of course, how many opportunities you take, you get days where you can go 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-0, that sort of thing. But you also get those days where you are struggling for anything to come into play, and you're looking at 0-1, 0-2. If we ever go 0-3, and it has certainly happened, we would say just walk away. Today's not the day. Come back, live to fight another day. I mean, we have this one in at 36.5. We need a lot of help for this one to work. And it didn't even come close. They literally just quit scoring. 2-possession game, and all of a sudden no scoring whatsoever. So this is an obvious loser as well. So 0-2 today. 1.5 units is the loss on the day, and nothing we can do but come back again tomorrow and give it a shot. I don't think they're going to score at all in the last minute. I don't think there will have been any points scored in the last minute. Crazy. Yeah, nothing scored in the last minute. Obviously, a bit of a disappointing day. Long stream for little or no reason. Down 1.5 units on the day. We're going to call it right here. We are again Signals, and we did not have a good day here on the stream. And we hope to see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. And we do string together a lot of good days. If you look at our past videos, you'll see that. And we're just getting started on our live streams. If you look on Twitter, we have a long documented history of plays, and you see some bad days, but you see a lot of good days as well, and more good days than bad. And that's what we hope to continue to do with our algorithm. And thanks again for watching. And that's it for today. Goodbye.